Hey guys, and welcome back to another match preview and prediction. And today we're getting into Iga Swiatek versus Mirra Andreeva for the Indian Wells 2025 semi-final. This is sure to be a blockbuster. So let's get into it. Before we do though, remember that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Also, shout out to our members on YouTube, and do remember to hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already, and make sure that you get alerts to any new uploads. Thank you very much, guys. So, this is such an intriguing matchup because Mirra Andreeva is the player on tour right now in terms of being the most informed player. I don't think you can claim it to be anyone else other than Andreeva. She's just come off winning the Dubai Masters 1000 tournament after beating the likes of Swiatek and Rybakina and the like. And now she's come into Indian Wells, hasn't dropped a set, and she's still looking really good. Then on the other hand, you've got Iga Swiatek, who's a two-time champion. I would say this is probably her second or third favourite tournament, and she plays so well in these conditions because it's so suited to her game. Slow, hard courts, very conducive to spin, and we know that her game is built on a heavy topspin game plan to simplify it, and we'll get into that in more detail, of course. She has been absolutely demolishing her opponents so far in this tournament. The bakery has been well and truly opened, and now she comes up against someone who only a few weeks ago beat her in straight sets. So she's going to play her in one of, let's just say it's on her court. And which way is it going to go? Or is it going to be the informed 17-year-old who is just playing fearless tennis, who's just beaten Swiatek a couple of weeks ago and she's beaten Rybakina? Or is it going to be Swiatek who's going to continue to dominate Indian Wells and say, no, this is my court, my tournament. You had your win a couple of weeks ago, fine, but I'm not going to let that happen again, especially not here. We'll find out, I guess, very, very soon. I'm just going to very briefly touch upon who they've played in the tournament so far. Then I'll talk about tactically how it might play out, and then ultimately give you guys my prediction. So Swiatek's played Garcia, Yastremska, Muchova. All three of those players she didn't drop more than 2 games against. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So the bakery was in full flow. Then, however, Zheng Xinwen put up more of a fight. 6-3, 6-3. Of course, the last match they played was the Olympic semi-final. Zheng won. So a good win for Swiatek, a good confident win for her. And now, of course, she comes up against Mirra Andreeva, the 17-year-old who is setting the tennis world alight right now. She has beaten some really, really good players. Has Andreeva on the route to this semi-final. Gracheva, Clara Towson, who she played in the final of Dubai, Rybakina, who she beat in Dubai like Swiatek, and also Svitolina, who's been playing some good tennis and interestingly has switched to a Diadem Axis 98 racket, which is, or I think 100 racket, sorry, even, which seems to be quite fashionable right now. It's a very similar racket to an Aero, which we know a lot of players are switching to. Alexander Bublik. So, semi-final stage. Great. What happened in Dubai? Well, the head-to-head's 1-1. Andreeva lost in Cincinnati last year in 3 sets, but then this year, of course, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, beat Swiatek 6-3, 6-3. What she did in that match, if she's able to replicate it in this one, it's going to give her the best chance of winning. And there are a few things that she did really well in that match, and I'll very briefly touch upon it because I think it's important to highlight. So, the first thing is, and it seems like such a weird thing to talk about first, but it's the forehand slice. She has such a potent forehand slice, and it's not something that you see so often utilised on the men's game. It's more of a fallback, if anything. It's more of a desperate ploy to keep the ball in play. But on the women's tour, it's utilised more, and it's seen more as a tool of variety. And it definitely has more effectiveness on the women's tour. And Andreeva utilises it extremely well. She defends that forehand corner impeccably, and She throws in the forehand slice at times to just disrupt the rhythm of her opponent, just mix it up, give a bit of variety. She's also very good at defending with the forehand slice as well, and just seems to find really good depth with that shot. And we know that she defends extremely well, so it's a good tool to have in her arsenal to make sure that she's not having to defend unnecessarily at times. And what she did really well against Swiatek, specifically with the forehand slice, was actually hitting a few deliberate short slices to drag Swiatek forward and then pass her. She's very good at passing people at the net. She finds fantastic angles. She's a very clean ball striker. And her anticipation, I think, is very good when anticipating where the approach shot is going to go. So Swiatek was getting picked off for the net. And we know that she's not particularly comfortable with the net. So Andreeva really just put her in an uncomfortable situation on a pretty regular basis. Not just when it comes to the forecourt, but also by moving her around. And this has been a real big progression, I think, the last 6 to 12 months for her as she continues to grow. She's only 17. She has become more of a physical athlete. She was always extremely athletic, but she has clearly gained a bit of strength, a bit of maturity, and you can see that in her game. The serve at times is sub 100 mile per hour, which is big for the women's tour. She has been hitting so clean off the ground. I mean, she was matching Rybakina's power in her match against her. Won that one 6-1, 6-2. And at times was actually overpowering Rybakina, which just seems crazy to say about Mirra, but she's just playing that well. She also has the added varieties we mentioned. She can hit a good drop shot, a lob, and her backhand line is just a thing of beauty. And, you know, on the servers, we were talking about serves good on return as well. She was returning Rybakina serve really well, I thought, and really making big inroads into the Kazakh serve, who, you know, a lot of people might say it definitely wasn't her day. She didn't play her best tennis by any stretch, but it was a great performance from Mirra. For Iga Swiatek, what does she need to do? Well, she needs to carry on playing how she's playing for the most part, because that's been getting her great results at Indian Wells. The high topspin game's definitely the way to go. The kick serve is interesting because on other surfaces, I think she would struggle to serve how she's serving here, but she's doing it deliberately here. A lot of kick serves, not just on second serve, but first serve as well. And she's really just ripping that serve with a lot of spin. Now, she's only been broken twice this tournament, which is crazy. For Mirra Andreeva, she needs to find a way to get comfortable with taking that second serve or first serve as early as possible and trying to rush Swiatek, because that's one area of her game, the serve games or service games, and specifically her serve, that is definitely a room for improvement, no doubt. It's a work in progress, but it's great to see someone like Andreeva play such fearless tennis. So I think she'll be able to step in, or at least keep on the baseline, try and take the ball early, rush Swiatek, because we know how athletic she is, and then the point will play out. I think Swiatek also needs to be a little bit clever with her game plan. I think going in and behind Mirra Andreeva is not a bad shout. She's a very intelligent player. I think she'll expect the ball to come into the open space and anticipates that very well. She's quick as well in her own right. Look, I mean, for Iga, the serve's going to be important. Can she hit her spots? Can she make sure that she isn't playing it too safe at times? And then I think in terms of her backhand line is also impeccable. So it'll be interesting to see how that potentially plays out as well against Andreeva. But look, I mean, she's not super comfortable with the net, but there's not really much to talk about in terms of weaknesses when it comes to Swiatek. I think it's just going to come down to, can Mirra essentially execute the game plan that she had last time against Swiatek? And if so, that puts her in a great position. If she can't, then Swiatek most likely, I think, will take over and win this one. Given the conditions on the surface, I think it's really suited to Swiatek, but I also think Andreeva plays very well in these conditions, and we've seen that in some runs on the clay court swing as well, which, you know, this is the closest thing you're going to get to a clay court, which is actually a hard court. So, yeah, I'm going to go, though, for the informed player, which is crazy to say. Mirra Andreeva to beat Swiatek in 3 sets. Let me know in the comment section below what you think and why. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. See you in the next video.